Hey, peace and blessings, everybody. It's your brother Asari back with yet another one, man. Peace to the true and living. I know it's been a minute. I know it's been a minute, everybody. It's been a while since we kind of dropped one. I've been kind of plotting and politicking on a couple of different pieces I've been working on. So you know how we do it. We may drop a couple in a single day or whatever. Um, kind of building up certain levels of research or what have you. But this piece that we got today is going to be fairly interesting. Um, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure y'all see the title of the video. We're going to talk about melanin, human photosynthesis, and light as food, right? So before we get into all that, peace to the gods, peace to the elder gods, the young gods, gods in between. Peace to the true and living, man. How you doing? How Mama Nell doing? How Sharon doing? How everybody doing? Finna get into this real quick. Okay, so we just want to start off. This is gonna kind of bridge into if anybody's kind of been following the series. And oh yeah, just a disclaimer, as I always do, you may want to bring your attention span on this one because this one may get a little bit wordy and nerdy. But if you could sit through the other wordy and nerdiness of the Ether series and everything like that, and if you could kind of, if you listen to the video on melanin and the human biofield, this is gonna kind of bridge into some of that. This is gonna bridge into some of the research of. We still gonna be on Dr. Jewel Pookrum. We're gonna be on the research of. Let me see here, Dr. Jack Kruse. We'll be into some of his research. We're gonna get into Jerry Tennant's research. Jerry Tennant has a book, Healing is Voltage. You see what I'm saying? He has a book called Healing is Voltage. Dr. Jack Kruse, he talks about how, the body receives light as food. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna correspond that with human photosynthesis and what all that entails. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, you see what I'm saying, when we talk about melanin and everything, it's often written off as a black thing. But I often say melanin is a human thing. Human beings have melanin, just like human beings have a human biofield that's measurable. And as we talked about on the previous video, the melanin is the substrate that even makes that possible. So melanin is a human thing. And as we gonna get into some of the some of the talking points of Dr. Jack Kruse, he makes that abundantly clear that you know how the body absorbs light and stuff like that. He actually has some interesting research. I'll probably link one of his videos down at the bottom, and y'all can kind of go down that rabbit hole on your own. Let me see here. But let's get into this. Okay, so redefining, and this is me using AI for good, not evil. You see what I'm saying? Um, yeah, it's a few topics that I've kind of done like this, even just as a sidebar. A lot of the stuff now, right now, we talking about this would qualify as, let's say, like others to self, as far as the three categories of the True Master series and everything like that. This would be your others to self. So if you got a question for me, brother, sorry, man, you know what I'm saying? I found out two middle kids, one mine or whatever. What's the metaphysical breakdown? Hey, I ain't got nothing for you right now. We on others to self right now. This is the scientific thing. That's more self to others and self to self because the book is divided, the series is divided up into three sections or whatever case may be. So we're dealing with the others to self. This is a more scientific type stuff kind of we getting into. So redefining sustenance, food through the lens of quantum biology, cellular voltage, and human photosynthesis. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And don't get it twisted now. I know we've been talking a lot about in the Ether series, we were talking a lot about um, Nikola Tesla, um, Eric Dollard, Dale Pond, and John Keeley. We were talking about their framework for physics as opposed to the Newtonian physics or the general relativity and quantum mechanics of Einstein and everything like that. So it's going to be a little section in here. We're going to, everything that's being said about, you know, cellular voltage and homeostasis and all that stuff like that, we're going to filter that in the end through Tesla and Dollard's physics because it's more electrical based, so we can kind of get a different view of that. Whereas it'll say, whereas we have concepts in um, Dr. Tennant's work of raising the voltage and increased voltage in the human body being associated with alkaline conditions in the body. Well, when we filter that through Tesla's framework, we're not so much going to be focused on the voltage, but it will be focused on the strength of the etheric field. You see what I'm saying? And some of this other stuff we're about to get into, we're going to get into grounding, you know what I'm saying? Walking on grass and stuff like that. How that in this way of saying it. You're absorbing electrons and you're grounding. You see what I'm saying? In Tesla's version or whatever, you're strengthening the etheric field. So it's a different lingo or whatever case may be. But you know how we've been doing in these videos? We've been kind of wanting to get used to filter going through multiple different types of jargon so we understand that we're talking about the same thing. And you understand sometimes when you don't get a clear picture in one um, I don't know, one framework, you can look at it through a different framework, and maybe you'll get a more clear or cleaner picture of what you're trying to see. Okay, so I know I rambled on for about 6 minutes. That'll be the intro, the preface. You feel me? So we'll get right into this. Okay, so redefining sustenance, food through the lens of quantum biology, cellular voltage, and human photosynthesis, right? Okay, introduction beyond calories, a new paradigm of substance. A conventional understanding of food has historically centered on its role as a source of macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and micronutrients, which provide calories for energy and serve as building blocks for the human body's physiological functions. This biochemical perspective forms the bedrock of mainstream nutritional science, guiding dietary recommendations and public health initiatives for generations. So remember we were talking about on previous videos, we've been talking about how they're moving from a biochemical model of health to a more energetic model. We were talking about Eileen Day McCusick, some of her stuff as far as with the tuning force. We were talking about how the human biofield is it's an authorized medical term. I forget their lingo for that, but it's a medical term that they actually use in mainstream medicine. The human biofield is actually a thing, what's commonly called the aura. So that's them shifting perspectives. Okay, so however, an emerging paradigm rooted in quantum biology, bioenergetics, and holistic health is beginning to challenge the sole reliance on a caloric centered centric view of sustenance. This evolving perspective proposes that the human body is an intricate bioelectrical system deeply intertwined with its environment. Now we're gonna keep getting into that. Now remember, when we was talking about time travel, we talking about your environment. When we talking about symbols and people coming up with their um hieroglyphic languages and stuff like that, or whatever case may be. We're talking about the things that it's modeled after things in their environment. So we keep coming into the how the individual is, um, I don't know, heavily influenced by their environment and their ecosystem. Okay, so drawing energy and information from sources far beyond the plate. So, okay, so when we talked about a previous video, we had the circle of space, matter, and time. Hold on 1 second. Grab that. Okay, so we had the circle of space, matter, and time. Circle of space, matter, and time. Anybody who's familiar with this, it's basically the Bakongo cosmogram and everything like that. It can be found in Introduction to Nature and Nature, several other books or what have you. But this here is the alternation of Nupu, Zupu, like summer and winter of nature happening or whatever case may be. When nature can no longer sustain itself or whatever case may be, it starts to break down and collapse into what we call this the spirit of chaos or what have you. But in previous videos, we were likening this as the electromagnetic spectrum. This is Hertzian waves, Hertzian frequencies. This as counter space, subspace, dielectric field, dark matter, dark energy. You see what I'm saying? All those things that are outside of the electromagnetic spectrum. And basically the source of all the energy on this particular side. This side being a discharge of what's on this side. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of what we were dealing with. And we were saying as it pertains to the aura of an individual or the human biofield as it pertains to melanin, as it were, melanin has access not only to what's in the electromagnetic spectrum, melanin has access to the frequencies outside of the electromagnetic spectrum, non-Hertzian waves and things of that nature. So that's kind of what we were talking about in the previous video. I know that's a brief recap. Um, let's see here. This report delves into the pioneering research of several key figures who advocate for this expanded definition of food. Dr. Jewel Pookrum's work emphasizes the profound relationship between the body's anatomy, its environment, and the pivotal role of melanin in human evolution and health. Concurrently, Dr. Jerry Tennant, through his seminal book, Healing is Voltage, like what we talked about earlier, posits that the electrical charge or voltage at the cellular level is fundamental to health and healing. Sounds similar to some of the stuff that Dr. Sebi would talk about, right? Because if he's talking about interstitial fluid and alkalinity and everything like that, and Dr. Jerry Tennant, he's basically saying the condition of alkalinity in the body correlates with high voltage or whatever. So he's sounding, it corresponds with some of the stuff that the late great elder Dr. Sebi mentioned. Posits that the electrical charge or voltage at the cellular level is fundamental to health and healing, effectively redefining chronic diseases as a state of low cellular voltage, right? So to all my students and followers, maybe of Dr. Sebi or someone's or teachers that follow a similar thought process or whatever, that low voltage from your language, where we filtering things through multiple different frameworks, the, as much as it can be, as far as the ones that the frameworks that match each other or whatever case may be, we can sync up with each other, what have you. Low voltage in y'all's language, you see what I'm saying? That's going to correspond to an acidic condition in the body. Basically, that's the correlation. Okay, so complementing these views is the work of Dr. Jack Kruse, a neurosurgeon specializing in quantum biology who highlights light, water, and magnetism as foundational drivers of human physiology, often suggesting their primacy over traditional dietary considerations. So he's saying that he has some interesting points, some interesting information. So basically, what he's saying is that your environment and the quality of frequency in your environment. Um, Whether it be, I know he addresses the altitude. He mostly addresses the light, artificial light. He talks about how we deal with things as far as frequencies. There, he says there's a color of light that corresponds to each frequency or whatever case may be. And he talks about a lot of the light that's emitted from our cellular devices, which is blue light, it stifles human growth. It stifles the melanin or whatever. He was saying more so as human beings. And y'all check out some of his stuff. I ain't trying to misquote the man or whatever, but he said he was talking about some of the lights that benefit human beings would be like purple lighting, red light, and things of that nature. So he goes into that right there. Let me see here. Central to this redefinition is the concept of human photosynthesis. So we're gonna get into that. A hypothesis suggesting that humans via melanin. So melanin is a human thing. It ain't just a black thing. Okay, so a hypothesis suggesting that humans via melanin possess the remarkable ability to directly convert light energy into chemical energy by dissociating water molecules. Now, it's interesting when we get into Tesla's portion, how he describes that, how his description of that same phenomenon about the because we know that melanin is heavily associated and heavily dependent upon water. So it's interesting how he breaks down what's going on between the water and the melanin. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. Okay, so the object of this report is to synthesize these interdisciplinary perspectives to formulate a comprehensive, non-traditional definition of food. So let's get it. The electrical blueprint. Healing is voltage and cellular energy. At the heart of a re-envisioned understanding of sustenance lies the concept of cellular voltage, as articulated by Dr. Jerry Tennant. and healing is voltage. This framework posits that every cell within the human body is meticulously designed to operate within a specific electrical potential, ideally ranging from -20 to -25 millivolts. So basically, this is similar to what they were talking about in the Matrix, how they plugged everybody up to the machines and they made them batteries and stuff like that. That actually has credence and everything like that. Okay. This electrical charge is not merely a metabolic byproduct, but deemed foundational for every aspect of cellular function, from nutrient transport to waste elimination, and critically for cell regeneration. So this electrical charge, or what have you, um, is critical for basically every cellular function and everything like that. And then we say in the previous video, electricity period is a polarization of energy on this side. You see what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get all crazy and all that. Okay, you watch the other videos on in the ether series and we get into some of that. Okay, so chronic disease from this perspective is fundamentally an electrical problem. Tennant asserts that illness manifests when cellular voltage consistently drops below this optimal range, specifically falling between -20 millivolts. Furthermore, the body's innate capacity to heal and generate new healthy cells is severely compromised under such low voltage or such acidic conditions by some people's vernacular. As the creation of new cells demands significantly higher electrical potential of -50 millivolts. This reframing suggests that the root cause of many chronic ailments may not be a chemical deficiency alone, right? It may not be a chemical deficiency alone, but rather a profound disruption in the body's electrical charge, right? The body's electrical charge. And when we get into Tesla and we start filtering that through Tesla, he ain't talking about as much of an electric charge. He's talking about an etheric field. You see what I'm saying? When it's as far as the AI can filter that through that. But let's keep going. This perspective suggests that therapeutic intervention should prioritize restoring cellular voltage, which might involve strategies beyond conventional pharmacology or nutrition, such as environmental exposure. You see what I'm saying? Dr. Kruse, he talks about that a lot as far as the importance of the environment and how it affects the behavior, and then how a person can have optimal genetics. You see what I'm saying? But if they're put and if they're put in their optimal environment for those optimal genetics, they'll get optimal performance. But they can have optimal genetics and be put in a incompatible environment, and they get terrible performance. You see what I'm saying? That's basically what Dr. Kruse was saying. Okay, so let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. And again, we talked on a previous video, melanin is a superconductor. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about voltage in the human body, voltage in the cells, all of this stuff like this. So we're gonna get into all of that. Okay, the body is a marvel of continuous regeneration, consistently replacing its cellular components. For instance, the rods and cones in the retina are renewed every 48 hours, the linings of the intestines every 3 days, skin every 6 weeks, the liver every 8 weeks, the nervous system every 8 months, and bones approximately every year. This incessant cellular turnover underscores the absolute necessity for a constant and efficient supply of energy and raw materials. He's saying what we get from our food, like eating a hamburger or something like that, those are the raw materials that build our body. But he says the consistent food is the energy from our environment. From the healing is voltage perspective, energy acquisition and healing are fundamentally about gaining and maintaining electrons. Now he's saying electrons. Remember, we've been banging on electrons for the last 7 videos. Okay, so the book bridges the disciplines of physics and biochemistry, proposing that concepts often associated with Eastern healing modalities such as healing, frequencies, and vital force can be understood as voltage. So he's saying a lot of stuff what they call it prana, kasha, chi, and all that stuff like that. He's associating those various things with voltage. Because as we know from the previous video, either way, whatever you can associate them with, they're all discharges. They must all be discharges and everything like that. You see what I'm saying? On this side. So they would, and basically that's the same thing that Tesla and Dollar always say in regards to electricity. It's a polarization of the ether. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of has a correlation to what he's saying. The literal flow of electrons. The view highlights the body's intrinsic electrical nature. The link between cellular voltage and pH levels is also emphasized. More alkaline conditions within the body are associated with higher cellular voltage, while acidic conditions lead to a loss of the vital electrical charge. This implies that maintaining an optimal pH balance is not just a biochemical concern, but is critical for the body's electrical integrity and overall energetic state. Okay, let's see here. Beyond the innate, beyond the intake of conventional nutrients, energy acquisition is the framework extends directly to environmental factors. Direct exposure to natural elements is presented as a practical means to increase the body's voltage and acquire electrons. Okay, I think Dan Winters he talks about that. He talks about um, metal structures, trailers and things or whatever the case may be, just metal buildings in general. They steal energy, they steal electricity from you. You cultivate more electricity. He talks, I think Dan Winters, he talks about how when shaman get ready to go die, literally when they get ready to go pass on to the next realm or whatever the case may be, they choose places around with natural things around them or whatever to be able to facilitate that transition better than passing in a because they can't do the same things that they'd be able to do as far as passing in a metal building or something like that. Let me see here. He also talks about how wearing um, natural fabrics as opposed to synthetic fabrics. I mean, it's quite a few people who talk about that wearing natural fabrics as opposed to synthetic fabrics actually maintain more energy and everything like that in within the individual. Okay, let's see, beyond the intake of conventional nutrients, energy acquisition is in this framework extends directly to the environment. Direct exposure to natural elements, okay, presented a practical means to increase the body's voltage and acquire electrons. For example, sunshine and walking in the grass are cited as ways to boost the body's electrical charge. This aligns with modern grounding or earthing practices, suggesting that direct contact with the Earth's surface facilitates electron transfer to the body. Daily routines and interactions with the environment are thus seen as directly influencing this electrical flow. Resting in the shade of a tree and bathing in the sea are noted for their revitalizing effects attributed to the body gaining electrons from the natural interactions. Conversely, activities like bathing in chlorinated water. So listen to this. Bathing in chlorinated water are cited as causing a loss of electrons, right? Leading to observable effects such as skin dryness, right? And a loss of cellular integrity. Okay, all that comes from losing electrons, which conversely, it is synonymous with the acidity, the rising of acidity in the body. Um, let's see. A compelling aspect of the electrical model is the proposition that acupressure meridians. Now remember we talked about this. We talked about you talked about in Ayurvedic medicine you have marma points. In traditional Chinese medicine you have acupressure, acupuncture points and everything like that. Different systems, different number of points, but they correlate because they pretty much do the same thing or have similar functions and everything like that. Your marma points I think is like 108. Chinese acupressure pressure points is significantly more. Um, let's see here. Function. Let's see. A compelling aspect of electrical model is the proposition that acupuncture meridians, often understood as energetic pathways in traditional Chinese medicine, function as literal semiconductors when properly hydrated. Right? When properly hydrated. This connection between ancient healing wisdom and modern physics further underscores the body's inherent electrical nature and its sophisticated capacity to conduct and utilize energy. This understanding of the body as a semiconductor network. The body is a semiconductor network. Remember we talking about melanin is a superconductor. You see what I'm saying? Under the right conditions, right? So it's making it. Remember how we talk about it facilitates the human biofield and all of that. You see what I'm saying? The body is becoming more of an electrical antenna, as it would appear, as we keep exploring this, right? Okay, so this perspective bridges physics and biology, suggesting that the body's energetic processes are governed by principles akin to solid state physics. It also opens avenues for understanding how external, okay, here we go. because Dr. Kruse, he talks about how, well, he's not the only person. I heard quite a few people talk about this. Dan Winters talks about it as well, about how the fields and how all this technology, as we accelerate in technology, as they up this thing, 5G, 6G, 7G, all these G's, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna create more cancer because you up in the frequency and the people's body's not used to it. So you up in the cancer. If you want self-driving cars, we got to kick it to 6 and 7G and all that good stuff like that. You want flying cars, which they in the making now. China already got flying cars, so you gotta up the frequency or whatever to facilitate this Palantir Skynet thing that they doing. You gotta up the frequency. So yeah, that's gonna cause more people to have cancer. And as we discussed on the previous video, when we talking about geobiology, that's gonna cause more crazy weather, like how we talked about, because the Earth has a field as well. So so just like how we talked about, if you got a cathedral over here or whatever case may be, um, and there are areas of dissonance on the planet or whatever case may be that have discordant frequencies or what have you. If you put a church right there and people praying and singing and stuff like that, that equalizes the frequency in that particular place. Well, similar, if you put a tower emitting certain frequencies or whatever case may be, that's going to enhance the discord in that particular frequency in that particular area on the planet or whatever case may be, but moving right along. Okay, so while direct environmental electron exchange is highlighted, conventional food retains a role within this paradigm, albeit a redefined one. It provides a good raw material. So the food, that fat burger you ate from Trio Burger, wherever you ate it from, you know what I mean? It is the raw materials that your body is being built from. Uh, Good raw materials necessary for the body to construct new healthy cells. This implies that the quality of ingested food directly impacts the structural integrity and functional capacity of cells, which in turn influences their ability to hold and utilize electrical charge. To hold and utilize electrical charge. Because when we get into on previous videos, we were talking about we had Rasayana. You see what I'm saying? We're talking about let me see the book when we were talking about the video we were talking about Tahuti's Alchemy versus Lord Shiva's Rasa Shastra, and we were talking about Rasayana. You see what I'm saying, as well, the longevity science as far as Ayurvedic medicine is concerned or whatever. And when you start getting into why we age and everything like that, it has something to do with the mitochondria and the ability to burn. You see, if there's a burning that takes place in the cells, and it has our aging and our overall dying or what have you. It has to do with the lack of the mitochondria to be able to produce energy. They liken it unto a burning, some sort of fire within the cells or whatever. I ain't an expert on Ayurvedic medicine. I'm pretty sure one of those individuals could probably break it down better than that. That was just a just kind of give you an idea. Let's see here. A general recommendation for unprocessed whole foods and avoiding chemicals is mentioned as crucial for health, aligning with broader health principles that support cellular vitality and reduce energetic burden on the body. This perspective, where environmental electron exchange is a primary energy source, challenges the caloric model of energy intake by introducing a direct electrical pathway for energy acquisition. It suggests that food can be non-ingested, highlighting practices like grounding and sun exposure as fundamental forms of nourishment, because people been sunbathing and sun gazing for years or whatever. Now for all my people who real gung ho about life, you know what I'm saying? The whole sun gazing thing, you're not supposed to gaze at the sun. You're supposed to gaze at the sun like when the sun is first rising over the horizon, when it's not at its full power in the day. You're not supposed to wait till noon and gaze at the sun, because that's you know yeah. I mean, different people have different perspectives on different things. Some people might tell you to do it at noon or whatever, but I'm sure your first day doing it, you're not finna. They don't want you to do it at noon. That's a bit excessive. Okay, so let's get into melanin. Let's get into melanin. Melanin, water, and human photosynthesis, right? That's what we've been talking about, right? Melanin, water, and human photosynthesis. Light is primary fuel. Let's get it. Okay, building upon the understanding of the body as an electrical system, The researcher Dr. Jewel Pookrum and the concept of human photosynthesis, right? We know plants have photosynthesis, and we know chlorophyll and melanin are basic. Chlorophyll is to plants what melanin is to animals. You see what I'm saying? So, or they do a similar function as it pertains to that. Also, they all of those things also correspond with the function of the ether. Like how we always say, nature is self-similar across scale. Interestingly enough, Dr. Kruse, in some of his stuff, he likens um, chlorophyll to hemoglobin. You see what I'm saying? Chlorophyll, melanin, all that, the hemoglobin. So it's an interesting, like I say, get into some of his stuff. Okay, so let's see, the research of Dr. Jewel Pookrum, you know what I'm saying? God bless Dr. Jewel, because she been putting it down forever. And the concept of human photosynthesis offers a profound reevaluation of how humans acquire energy. Um, Elevating light and water to the status of primary food sources. What? Elevating light and water to the status of primary food sources. Okay, Dr. Jewel Pookum's insight posits melanin as far more than just a mere skin pigment, as we discussed on previous videos. Her work notably in vitamins and minerals from A to Z with ethno consciousness identifies melanin as a crucial biopolymer that controls all major hormonal, neurological, and all systems responsible for environmental adaptation within the human body. Uh-huh. Um, this suggests melanin's pervasive influence across virtually all physiological systems. Now, and it would make sense if it's a superconductor, um, and the body is electrical, it would make sense to be the substrate for the interaction of energy, a transducer, and all that. You see what I'm saying? Melanin is endowed with the vital activities and life-sustaining attributes, including phonon capabilities, which encompass cellular regeneration, heat and light energy modulation, and genetic evolution of the body in general. And we're gonna get more into that. Dr. Kruse, he talks a lot about that. He talks a lot about how the environment contributes to the evolution, um, and whether they're getting sufficient energy. He talks a lot about how the artificial lights that we're exposed to in our modern society, or whatever case may be, it actually um, retards our growth genetically and all that. So this description portrays melanin as a sophisticated energy transducer and modulator capable of integrating light energy directly into biological processes. A transducer and modulator, like a modem, modulator, demodulator. You know what I'm saying? Capable of integrating light energy directly into biological processes. So you take light and turn it into some chemical in your body. Okay, yeah, that song you like, and now you've transformed that into some sort of chemical in your body, and you dancing all over the place. Okay, to operate in a perpetual efficient state, implying that psychological and environmental factors are crucial for its optimal function. I think that's what Dr. Jewel be talking about. How you feel about yourself, that play a role. You know, I think a song might have said that one two times. Well, implying that physiological and environmental functions are critical for its optimal function, extending the concept of nourishment beyond the physical. So basically, not only the food that you eat, um, the lights that you around, you see what I'm saying? The sounds that you listening to, you see what I'm saying? Um, man, y'all, you know, listen to no shade on nobody. I ain't gonna say no names. I don't like saying names. If I ain't got nothing good to say about nobody, I really don't like saying names about nobody. So I'll just say this. Some of the um more ratchet up and coming artists, if you listen to some of their music, you see what I'm saying, and feel how it make you feel, and then go listen to some good John Coltrane. Go listen to some Miles Davis and see how that make you feel and see the difference. You see what I'm saying? That music literally induces a chemical response in your body. You see what I'm saying? And it's a reason why they change the frequency in the music, because as we talked about, melanin is not a black thing, it's a human thing. You feel me? So music affects everybody. It's a reason why they change the frequency in the music and everything like that over the last few decades. But moving right along. Okay, the human photosynthesis hypothesis provides a a mechanistic explanation for melanin's profound role. Um, This research directly challenges the conventional understanding of energy production by proposing that melanin possesses an intrinsic property to dissociate and reform the water molecule. What? Melanin has an intrinsic property to dissociate and reform the water molecule. Now, like I said, we're gonna see what that sounds like in Tesla in a minute. Okay, this remarkable ability allows humans to convert photon energy directly into free chemical energy, representing a radical departure from the long held glucose centric view of cellular energy, right? So basically, saying that um, humans absorb energy similar to how plants do. It's a man a long time ago. You see what I'm saying? He made that statement that animals evolved from plants. So that kind of goes into that, but that's neither here nor there. The process draws a direct analogy to plant photosynthesis, where chlorophyll dissociates water to initiate energy production, right? So then we just talk about what melanin in its function. It's very similar to chlorophyll, right? Okay, however, human photosynthesis mediated by melanin. Okay, so let's rewind this. Let's rewind this. Let's roll it on back. Okay, so plants do photosynthesis. Melanin and chlorophyll are basically parallels to each other, very similar to each other. They basically do the same thing. One the animal kingdom, one the plant kingdom. Animals do have the tendency to do exactly what plants do as far as photosynthesis. However, for the raw materials of our body, we do not rely on the energy. We consume grosser materials to facilitate the grosser aspects of our body or whatever, but we still do produce chemicals and energy via the energy in our environment and everything like that, right? Okay, so to initiate energy production, however, human photosynthesis mediated by melanin is described as a reversible reaction. This reversibility is a key distinction, allowing for dynamic energy management, right? A striking aspect of this hypothesis is the asserted efficiency of melanin. It is stated by to be thousands of times more efficient at dissociating water than chlorophyll, right? And capable of absorbing the entire electromagnetic spectrum. So even in the whole thing about it's dissociating the water molecule and everything like that, melanin is more efficient than the chlorophyll is of doing that, right? So unlike chlorophyll's limited absorption of purple and red light, we talked about how Dr. Kruse was talking about purple and red light as being beneficial to human beings as opposed to the blue light that we expose to via cell phones and all of things like that. This suggests a highly optimized biological system for broad spectrum light energy capture. It's talking about melanin. This understanding of melanin as a biological solar panel and water splitter directly links Dr. Pookrum's broader claims about melanin's importance to a specific energy generating biochemical process, right? It is not merely a pigment, right? It is a highly efficient broad spectrum energy converter called a transducer in previous videos, stuff like that. This implies that the quality and function of melanin are paramount for human energy production. You see what I'm saying? Factors that support melanin's phonon capabilities, including environmental and even mental emotional states, become critical for overall vitality. Optimizing melanin function could be a key strategy for health. You see what I'm saying? A lot of stuff, I mean, I have to say it like that, or I find a need to say it like that because a lot of stuff gets suppressed. Um, you know what I'm saying? Because for various reasons or whatever. I mean, we know why things get suppressed because it's sometimes more often than not it's for the dislike of a certain group of people that this might correspond to or whatever. But as you can see, um, you're gonna undermine the benefit of humans period can benefit from this from research in melanin or whatever case may be, even though it's a thing, of course, a dude in Kenya is gonna have more melanin than a dude out of Scandinavia, of course. But the dude out of Scandinavia can benefit from the research that we get from doing the melanin. He can regrow a limb off the strength of the research that the guy that was done as it pertains to a substance that the guy in Kenya just happens to have more of. So we gotta get, as humanity, we gotta get past that. You trying to suppress a group of people and you undermine the humanity at large. Can you dig it? So that was my little rant for in that was my little in video rant. So okay, so the most profound implication of human photosynthesis hypothesis is the assertion that the real source of energy of the eukaryotic cell is water, directly undermining what is termed the sacred role of glucose as an energy source. So he's basically saying water is the energy source. The authors humorously illustrate that this point by stating that if glucose were the sole energy source, diabetes patients would fly. Highlighting the perceived inadequacy of traditional metabolic model. The theory proposes that everything is soaked, and everything is governed by photosynthesis, both in plants and in us. So everything is governed by photosynthesis in plants as well as in us. So humans have the capability to do this as well. Um, this posits now we talked on the video the original video we did about melanin. We didn't say nothing about we were going straight from the research of Dr. Richard Kane, Dr. Jewel Pookrum, as far as our window into what melanin is, how it functions. And as you can see from a whole other different angle, a whole other different um I don't know source or whatever. You can look up human photosynthesis, and it cannot be explained without including melanin. So we just kind of reinforcing that. Let's see here. This positions light and water as the fundamental orchestrators of life's sustaining chemical system. Optimal health from this perspective is achieved by just keeping the balanced equation of melanin mediated water dissociation. Okay, if water is the primary energy source and its dissociation is driven by light via melanin, then the quality of water and the quantity and quality of light exposure becomes paramount dietary considerations. The traditional focus on food consumption becomes secondary, right? It's more about the energy you consume, the light that you consume. Um, the tradition the traditional focus on food consumption becomes secondary to ensuring the body has access to and can efficiently process these primary energetic inputs. This radically redefines nutrition, suggesting that practices like consuming purified or structured water and optimizing natural light exposure, sunlight, are more fundamental to energy acquisition than, for example, counting calories or macronutrients. It also provides a scientific basis for traditional practices that emphasize water and sun. This perspective suggests an inherent fundamental capacity for energy generation from ubiquitous environmental elements, light and water. Okay, so again, back to the environment. You go from you're making in another video we was talking about people getting their symbolism to create a language from their environment. We was talking about people deriving whole kung fu styles from animals and things that they observe in their environment. Now look at this, we're talking about you actually literally absorbing energy from the light and frequency, sound and things like that in your environment, similar to how a plant does photosynthesis, human photosynthesis. So just kind of getting into that. Okay, so let's see here, quantum biology and environmental orchestration. Okay, so we're gonna get into Dr. Jack Kruse's framework. You see what I'm saying? He has numerous talks and things or whatever case may be. I'm just kind of scratching the surface. Like I said, anytime I run across somebody with a body of work, some interesting research, anything that I find, I try to put the source out there so you're not limited to what I say about it. Okay, so Dr. Jack Kruse, a neurosurgeon with a keen interest in quantum biology, provides a comprehensive framework that integrates light, water, and magnetism, right? As because anytime you have electricity, you're gonna have a magnetic field. Anytime you have and vice versa. As the primary orchestrators of human biology, his work suggests that conventional approaches to understanding the decline in human health are insufficient, arguing that a deeper understanding requires uniquely tying physics and quantum mechanics to biological processes, right? Similar to what we've been trying to do in these last couple videos, right? Okay, Kruse approach is described as extremely presumptuous, offering a more powerful explanation for the widespread health issues observed over the last century. So basically, one of his premises is that as our consumption of technology has increased, so a lot of the health issues have also increased as we've began to use, I don't know, synthetic food, and especially I know he goes in on like the light frequencies, a lot of the electromagnetic radiation and stuff like that. Within this biological field, the very definition of food undergoes a significant transformation. Kruse posits that food is not merely a caloric or chemical input, but rather an electromagnetic barcode of sunlight. Right. So remember we talked about in radio astrology and basically like how radio astronomy, and basically we were kind of referring to what Eric Dollard said about the sun being a transformer, and it transforming the energy from counter space into usable energy on this side, and the planets being harmonic filters that absorb a certain frequency of this radiation and everything like that. So similar, let's see here, similar thing in this. So he talks about electromagnetic barcode of sunlight. So I say all that to say we know it's various different frequencies of light and energy coming out of our star. You see what I'm saying? This profound conceptualization implies that the energetic and informational content of food derived from its interaction with light during its growth and development. Informational content of food derived from its interaction with light during its growth and development. So basically, what he's saying, food grown in different places on the planet has the quality, retains the quality of the place that it's grown in to a certain extent, the energetic quality of the place that it's grown in. That's very interesting. Okay, so this profound conceptualization implies that energetic and informational content of food derived from its interaction with light during its growth and development is more critical than its macronutrient profile, where it's from. Kruse explicitly states, if you understand my perspective, it wouldn't change because the light is the key to the story of the microbiome. It's not what you eat. This directly challenges the conventional dietary focus positioning light as the dominant environmental input that dictates biological function. So he's saying even the food that we eat, the light that the food that we eat is exposed to or whatever, we're consuming light more so than the food. If you consuming chicken, you feel like you're eating some chicken, we tasting the chicken, we eating the chicken, but you're really consuming the light that the chicken is composed of, is what he's saying. Including the health of the gut microbiome. This redefinition of food as a informational signal, not just fuel, fundamentally shifts its role. It's not just about the chemical constituents or caloric value, but the encoded information and energetic signature derived from its interaction with light during growth, right? Yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, because I was gonna correlate that, damn near correlate that to a natal chart, a person's natal chart, a person having certain energy crystallized at their birth, relative to the place that they born at. It's a similar thing. This implies that the source and processing of food, how much natural light it receives, are more important than just its natural label. This suggests a shift towards informed eating, where the energetic uh, let's see here, the energetic quality of food, its light memory, and its ability to support the body's quantum processes take precedent. It provides a deeper rationale for consuming whole, natural, and local sourced food that have been exposed to natural light. So basically, it puts more priority on how something was raised or whatever, because that has to do with the quality of energy it has, not even just what it is. You see what I'm saying? Um, Kruse's framework emphasized the critical impact of environmental inputs, particularly natural light cycles and structured water, on human health. He contends that most modern health diseases can be traced back to the replacement of natural light with artificial light. the replacement of natural light with artificial light. He argues that exposure to the wrong kind of light, exposure to the wrong kind of light, like that blue light from the cell phone we were talking about a minute ago, is a primary cause of prevalent conditions such as obesity, insulin resistance, colon cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. This highlights the paramount importance of natural light exposure, especially morning sunlight. I was talking about sun gazing a minute ago, for regulating circadian rhythms and overall physiological functions. Water, in Kruse's view, possesses unique, stunning properties, including the existence of a fourth phase. He asserts that water is the medium, the mean, and the message for cells. All right, similar to how the interstitial fluid, like how Dr. Sebi talks about, um, underscoring its pivotal role in cellular communication, energy transfer, and as a dissipative structure that maintains cellular equilibrium with its environment. Now he goes in talking a lot about melanin as well. As you can see, he's talking about water. So when we talk about water within the body, it's not a far cry to have melanin associated not too far behind. The quantum coherence of water, its ability to organize and carry information, is observed to become more prominent when exposed to sunlight. Magnetism, both external, exogenous, and internal, endogenous, is also identified as significant factor influencing health. Yeah, because he talks about in colder climates you get dark inside as opposed to outside. That's how he words it. Uh, let's see here. A central tenet of Kruse's work involves the detrimental effects of non-native electromagnetic fields. Non-native electromagnetic fields. Now listen to this. And deuterium on deuterium on mitochondrial function and energy production. Now, remember in the previous video, if you go back to the video, we talked about geobiology. We talked about when you're in a place that's not compatible with your energetic signature or whatever, that place can make you sick. You see what I'm saying? So we talked about that. He discusses the pervasive impact of non-native electromagnetic field exposure, suggesting that artificial light and modern technologies like 5G, remember we say we finna have flying cars in a minute, we finna have this Palantir Skynet Terminator network. So we're gonna have to scale it up. It can't be 5G, it's gonna be 6G, 7G, 8G, all these good old frequencies, all these towers is popping up all over the place. You see what I'm saying? Along with broadcast emissions, create radiation belts that interfere with natural sunlight, thereby impairing vital processes such as vitamin D synthesis and overall health. Deuterium, a heavy, a deuter Deuterium. For y'all research purposes, for my lack of ability to pronounce that. Deuterium, a heavier isotope of hydrogen, is characterized as a kryptonite to your mitochondria, profoundly disrupting their function and overall health. Conversely, the use of deuterium depleted water has been shown to result in a 40% higher crop yield in plants. Huh. Well, we already know, you know what I'm saying, how capitalism gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Can't make an omelet without busting eggs in capitalism. So implying significant benefits for human biology, the profound impact of deuterium is further underscored by the statement that one deuterium atom controls 96 hydrogen atoms. Mitochondria, the cellular powerhouse. Remember we said in from the perspective of Rasayana, the longevity science out of Ayurvedic medicine or what have you, mitochondria is a big deal. The burning that takes place in the mitochondria in the cell and stuff like that, that ties into the aging process. Okay, so the metabolism of the cell ties into the aging process as far as they're concerned. Mitochondria, the cellular powerhouse, are central to energy production, consuming water and generating immense power within cells. Their optimal function is intensively linked to natural light, water quality, and the body's deuterium levels. Kruse's strong emphasis on non-native electromagnetic fields, blue light, toxicity, and deuterium as primary drivers of modern disease reveal a let's see here. Reveal a critical understanding. These are not just physical pollutants, but energetic disruptors. What? They interfere with the body's fundamental light water magnetism interaction and mitochondrial function, effectively stealing energy or creating energetic noise. This expands the definition of toxins beyond chemical compounds to include energetic frequencies as well. So he includes energetic frequencies as toxins as well, in the same realm that he would include like poisons, chemical poisons that we consider. It implies that detoxification must include minimizing exposure to non-native electromagnetic fields and potentially seeking deuterium depleted water, as these are direct threats to the body's core energy generation mechanisms. This also provides a quantum level explanation for widespread decline in human health. Yeah, stuff like chronic fatigue and all that. Um, yeah, a lot of people attribute that to all this technology and all these fields because, like I said, they're moving from a biochemical model of medicine to a more of an electromagnetic model, and out of that you kind of get more of the implications of what's happening with all this technology and everything like that. So let's see here. Let's see. A particularly transformative aspect of Kruse's work is assertion that light is key to microbiome. It's not what you eat. This statement directly challenges the prevalent belief that diet is the sole or primary detriment to determinant to gut health. If light is key, it suggests that the gut microbiome composition and function are profoundly influenced by circadian rhythm, light exposure, and potentially the energetic state of the host. Then Dr. Jewel Pookrum say your attitude and how you feel that affect the melanin. Okay, rather than just the fermentation of dietary fibers, this revolutionizes the approach to gut health. While diet remains important to raw materials, optimizing light exposure, i.e., morning sun, avoiding blue light at night, becomes a critical food for the microbiome, right? Let's see here. Y'all bear with me. Two definitions for structural water, food. Cellular voltage, as defined by Dr. Jared Tennant, is a direct measure of health and healing capacity. The body's ability to acquire and maintain electrons is fundamental to its electrical charge. Electrons can be acquired directly from the environment through practices like grounding. Da, 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 da. All right. Push, reorder, priority of sustenance. Okay, the distinct theories of Dr. Jewel Pookrum, Dr. Jerry Tennant, Dr. Kruse are not isolated but deeply interconnected. Melanin's light modulating ability directly facilitates human photosynthesis. So there's not so melanin not only facilitates the human biofield, the aura as it's popularly called, it also facilitates this human photosynthesis, what we talking about. This melanin facilitates that, just like chlorophyll facilitates the photosynthesis in plants. Okay, which generates energy from water. This energy is essentially electron flow, which is measured as cellular voltage. Dr. Kruse's framework then provides the overarching quantum biological context where light, water, and magnetism orchestrate these processes. This implies that true holistic health requires a multimodal approach that addresses all these interconnected aspects simultaneously, right? Okay, focusing solely on diet or exercise or even light in isolation may be insufficient if the underlying energetic and informational framework is compromised. All right, so we got all the way through all of that. Okay, so now we're gonna filter this through Tesla or something closer in the direction of Tesla. Because, like I said, um, if I reanimated Nikola Tesla right now, I can't guarantee you he would say what I'm about to say right now. But this is something more in the direction of what he can say based on what's available for the AI to look up as far as the research of Nikola Tesla and Eric Dollar. It's stuff that's available in the public domain. So we're trying to get a little bit closer in that direction because, as we can see, the physics of Tesla is influenced by Vedic metaphysics of Swami Vivekananda. So yeah, so it's more in line with a lot of sci type research and what's considered fringe. Everything is fringe in general relativity. Everything, a lot of stuff that um, is more based on instantaneous action at a distance, all that stuff like that. That's more pseudo, so to speak, in general relativity and Einsteinian physics. However, we must always remember that Einstein himself was pseudo in the eyes of Tesla. So You see that? You have to consider that. Okay, so let's get into this without any further ado. Okay, a different model, electrical potential from a Tesla dollar perspective. The conventional understanding of electricity rooted in Newtonian concepts often describes it as a flow of charged subatomic particles called electrons moving through a conductor. This is the framework that leads to ideas like losing electrons. Remember, we talked about you in a metal building a trailer or something like that. It said that steals electrons from you, that steals energy from you, metal structures. Okay, when the body's voltage drops, all right, metal structures and things like that that potentially may steal energy from you, steal electricity, steal voltage from you, causes the voltage of the body to drop, or conversely, it causes an acidic response in the body as far as health wise, the correlations that we've been making. Okay, so however, the work of Nikola Tesla and Eric Dollard offers a radically different perspective on physics and electricity that can be applied to these biological phenomena. Tesla and Dollard's theories are based on the concept of the ether. We've been talking about that numerous videos. A primordial substance considered to be a fifth state of matter. From this viewpoint, electricity is not a movement of mass based particles, right? Not little BBs. Like we did this. It's not little BBs going through a wire from their perspective. It's like how you have an aura. You can see with Kirkland photography. You can see the aura of my hand or something like that. The wire has an aura, and that's how the electricity flows. They says dollar as opposed to the idea that they're little BBs flowing through the wire. Okay, so this perspective profoundly redefines losing electrons. It is not about a literal. Okay, hold on. I don't want to go too far too fast. Let's see. Tesla and Dollar's theories are based on the concept of the ether, primordial substance considered to be the fifth state of matter. Okay, from this viewpoint, electricity is not a movement of mass-based particles, right? Einstein says electrons have a mass. You see what I'm saying? But the human biofield does not have a mass. So, and it's electrical. So that would suggest that, like how we talked about, it's being generated from something that the melanin is doing. It's an interaction that generates it. It's not little particles just in space. Okay, so from the viewpoint, electricity is not a movement of a mass-based particle, but rather ether in a state of dynamic polarization, discharge, dynamic polarization. Dollar argues that electricity does not flow through wires but in space around them via the ether. In this framework, so-called conductors are not true conductors but obstructors or reflectors, really, um, that reflect electromagnetic energy. While the space itself, the ether, offers the least resistance and is the true conductor. It is the true conductor, right? Tesla similarly referred to electrical forces as streams of ether gas. This perspective profoundly redefines losing electrons. It is not about a literal loss of subatomic particles, not about a literal loss of BBs, but rather a disruption of the body's energetic field, right? So this is just a different kind of layer to this, a different jargon. So we filtering it through. Everything that we previously laid down still applies, but we just filtering it through another little jargon, another little piece of jargon. We're going through a different language. Okay, Tesla defines electricity not by particle flow, but as radiant energy, and believes the sun emits minute, highly charged particles that move faster than light and can be harnessed. May put potentially, I ain't trying to put words in his mouth. Potentially might have been the newts or those neutral centers that we were talking about in the previous video. Not sure. Have to do a little bit more digging to see if that's actually what he meant. He famously stated, "If you want to find the secret of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Okay, from this alternative physics model, okay, the concepts presented in this report take on a new meaning, right? Healing is voltage. Dr. Jerry Tennant's voltage could be seen as the measure of the body's state of etheric polarization or the strength of its field. So your voltage could be likened, uh, I'm doing all this without lighting, man. Your voltage could be likened unto or your alkalinity could be likened unto, let's say, like the strength of your field. And not saying you if you get too you can't get too alkaline or you're gonna die. So that's that's not what I mean. But within the realms of good health. If you get what I'm saying, I gotta say that because somebody gonna take it to the you said. Yeah. But gaining electrons, the act of gaining electrons from the environment through sunshine or grounding would be interpreted as directly charging this etheric field. So basically, from their perspective, as opposed to gaining electrons when you walking with your feet on the grass and everything like that, or whatever case may be, you would be charging your etheric field from this perspective. The human body, like a finely tuned resonant circuit, is seen as an apparatus for absorbing and directing this ambient radiant energy, right? Okay, so human photosynthesis. So let's get into that. Human photosynthesis, okay? From this perspective, okay, so the punchline, y'all been waiting. The dissociation of water by melanin would not be a mere biochemical reaction, but a process of unlocking and transforming the energy stored within the etheric structure of water. Huh. Which Dollar and others have studied in relation to dielectric fields. So basically, you taking the water molecule and you getting this side of the energy out of the water, just similar to how then we talk about John Keely, um, split atoms with sound, and he's doing experiments with cavitation in water and stuff like that. A similar concept or whatever case may be. Yeah. So basically, what the melanin is doing with the water, the melanin is taking this out the water. You see what I'm saying? And that's quite interesting. That'll be a whole nother conversation or what have you. It's some information. Anybody familiar with the nature of nature? Is some information that's in there about the sun and yeah, we'll get into that at a later time. Okay, so human photosynthesis, the dissociation of water by melanin would not be a mere biochemical reaction, but a process of unlocking and transforming the energy stored within the etheric structure of water molecules, which Dollard and others have studied in relation to dielectric fields. So basically, it's accessing the water. It's extracting the energy from the other side from the water. It's using the water to extract energy from the other side. Interesting, very interesting. This perspective suggests that modern diseases, often linked to non-native electromagnetic fields, may basically it's another way of saying a similar thing we were talking about when we were talking about geobiology, going to places with energy that's not compatible to yours, or in this case, non-native electromagnetic fields. That might be a cell phone, that might be a computer, anything. You know what I'm saying? A cell phone tower, anything. So let's see here. May stem from electric energetic noise or interference that disrupts a body's delicate etheric potential rather than a chemical imbalance. This view, while outside the mainstream, provides a compelling theoretical basis for the holistic field-based approach to health proposed by Dr. Jewel Pookrum, Dr. Jared Tennant, Dr. Kruse. Okay, in conclusion, so we're gonna go on in this. Y'all been riding with me, but that was a punchline about the melanin. I think that was a very interesting thing. It says something interesting about water, and it says something interesting about melanin as well. Okay, so in conclusion, the concept of food, when viewed through the lenses of Dr. Drew Pookum's research, Dr. Jared Tennant's healing is voltage, and Dr. Jack Kruse's biology framework profoundly transcends its conventional caloric definition. This advanced understanding posits that sustenance is a multi-dimensional concept encompassing direct energetic inputs such as photon, light, and electron information signals conveyed through structured water and high quality raw materials derived from nutrient dense naturally grown foods, right? So how the food is grown, the quality of energy that it's exposed to while it's grown significantly impacts, according to this perspective, the quality of energy that you're going to get from it, because you're not eating the fruit, you're eating the light that grew the fruit, if that makes any sense. Okay, so this integrated perspective marks a significant paradigm shift, moving from a purely biochemical Newtonian view of the human body, which is what they're doing anyway, to a bioenergetic and quantum understanding. Health in this context is fundamentally about maintaining optimal cellular voltage, which corresponds to alkaline and acidic, but facilitating the intrinsic process of human photosynthesis and aligning the body with fundamental environmental principles of light, water, and magnetism. The interconnectedness of these modalities means that true holistic health requires a comprehensive approach that addresses all these aspects simultaneously. This integrated perspective offers a profound reevaluation of how humans acquire energy and maintain health, paving the way for more comprehensive and effective wellness strategies in the 21st century. Woo, woo, woo. And we talked about a lot of this, in in the previous video on melanin, when we were talking about how, research on melanin, um, based on what it actually is, like I said, that could benefit humanity. You see what I'm saying? So just want to kind of another deep dive into melanin. I thought that would be some interesting information to contrast. That's what I always say. I'm here to provide contrast. You know what I'm saying? Get a young guy some fuel. You know what I mean? And just put some out there to change the conversation. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes. So appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Y'all like what y'all been hearing. Like and subscribe, man. If y'all been tuning in, y'all been watching this for an hour and 10 minutes, me rambling on. Hey man, like and subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe button, man. Tune in, check me out. We will continue to drop interesting pieces like this. But all this science heavy stuff, this is more so your others to self type stuff. More your personal development stuff is more the self to self and self to others. We're not done with that material either. We're still gonna be pumping those out as well. But just want to kind of lay this down, provide a little contrast within this material. I'm always talking about contrast, providing a little contrast within this series. So appreciate y'all, man. Peace and blessings, man.